And in the pass game, I really thought, again, just look at some of the things we did. We put ourselves where our timing was off. We put Nate in some situations where the concepts weren't as ideal. And for the most part, I actually thought he kind of played pretty good because just the rhythm of the game and getting him started, we didn't do a good job getting him started. They tweaked some things in coverage where a couple concepts we didn't have a complete enough plan to have it one time. A guy just doesn't run a route. We don't have a check down we need, so he takes a sack, and his protection is actually good. So, you know, I thought he needs to play better. And I've said this through camp again. We need that group continue to practice at the level where there starts becoming that timing and trust that you need. So we're looking hard at, again, schematics, game planning, working those guys the proper way without overworking them. But let's get the pass game going. Even though the run game looked good, so much could be better there. Defensively, we didn't like fact. We had some opportunities to get some stops. You know, after we talk about, you know, after a turnover you can respond. We don't like the turnovers, but we didn't respond really. We also talk about we had a chance to get a couple of turnovers, we didn't. So, you know, it played hard, good, but still not what we need. And supposedly, you know, everybody says you improve from week 1 to 2. Well, we're not going to have a game to show it. And just because people say you improve from after you play a game, that don't mean you're going to. You have to do it. So we got a lot of things to work on. We gave him a little time off physically this week. We went today in a good go day, middle of the week, and then we'll kind of do a lot of polishing and get ready for game week and a great 6-game run before we have another open day break.
The number of freshmen that you played, anybody stand out among that group of kids?
No, I mean, you know, like, you know, Cobbs has a couple nice catches, and everybody says he looks good, but you know, he probably had as many busts as anyone, just been a lot of whack or just, you know, proper alignment. So as he plays, he'll be so much better. You know, Jay-Sean has the one blunder on the punt return, which we got to do a better job for him. But he probably, you know, he has the negative, but probably played better consistently as you go. So the linebacker guys and DB showed up well. Tony Fields had a chance, you know, to get a hand on the ball and didn't make a pick and didn't. So no one disappointed. It's a good group, and like I say, it was good to get them. It was in not by design, but they got it there when the game was kind of close. And that was their first time, but it was actually some critical minutes, and that was a nice. Instead of it was just a mop up, you know, with your first time. For the most of the part, those guys were kind of playing, and the game's a little bit in balance. So it was nice.
Obviously, Bobby had his big day, but how do you evaluate the performance of the rest of the defensive line? You know,
okay, we could be so. You know, again. To me, as you come out of our camp stuff, we try to stay off the ground because we don't want people in legs for ankle and knee injuries. And then because of that, you end up playing high. So your pad level, you know, gets up because you know, if you're playing low, you get on the ground more. You know, your momentum is lower, and your upper extremity gets overextended, and you get on the ground. And we're always saying, stay up, stay off the legs. Will get you playing higher. So just like the O-line, those guys can play so much better. It's a strong group, big group. We need those guys to improve. No one was disappointing, but just to me, a lot of times what you see in the first games, they all graded, I think, average. Bobby no one was horrible. Bobby was the one guy that made a few plays and was recognized a little bit more as having a better game. But they'll need, and the O-line will need to play better for this run that we're getting ready to see.
You mentioned last week that you guys are moving Larray Smith to cornerback. What did you guys see from him that makes you think that he's a better fit for that side of the ball?
Well, again, he is a good athlete, fast, he's long. In our running back deal, even though he's fast, instinctively, the other guys were probably, even though he had more speed, the other guys were probably instinctively better runners, a little bit better in the catching and route running or pass pro. So he was good, and he's a guy you want on special teams, and he's unbelievably fast, and he's actually, for a, you know, reasonably long, tall, you know, big for a skill guy. We have a couple senior corners. We think we have a little void with some guys that we need to improve, so we thought he could get in the mix. I don't know if he's going to play much this year outside of special teams, but he's technically a redshirt freshman. He's got 4 years to go now, and so we just did it after a week of preseason. So said, go over here and try it for one day. Let's see what we think, see what you think. We thought he looked like he could be really good. He kind of liked it, and he's kind of rolled with it. And I appreciate him not doing what's best for the team, because I don't believe you do what's best for the team. I think you do what's best for you. If it's best for you, it's best for the team, as long as it stays within the confines of team rules and guidelines. So him going over there doesn't help the team unless he wants to do it. I appreciate the fact that I think he's smart enough. He realizes I might be good at this, and I think he's embraced it. And we'll see here over time, can we get him up to speed? He's a long way from understanding the position. But he's got the skill set where he can be pretty good at it.
Coach, you talked about tackling technique and introducing some new concepts there. There were a couple of missed tackles in the first couple of snaps, but I saw open field tackling from Flo and from Hunter and some guys. As this game went on, how did the tackling change?
It was better, and at the same time, I think we could squeeze and wrap and get it cleaner. We did miss a couple early, like you talked about. The game is going to be played even by power teams and two-back teams. The ball gets down the field, the ball gets in space, special teams is in space. So even our stuff today, even without trying to just smash our guys, we're just trying to emphasize some simple fundamentals. We're doing it for our offensive players because they're involved in special teams so that our receivers and running backs can understand, again, proper leverage on the ball. And we always talk about respecting the ball. And respect sometimes means like, hey, if I'm a running back, don't fumble. If I'm a quarterback, don't throw a pick. But if you're a defender, if you respect the ball, you keep leverage on the ball. You keep it in front of you. You keep it inside. You keep it where your partner can come help you make the tackle. So we're just going to keep working some simple fundamentals. We'll keep trying to take that into our scheme concept. So the scheme's a part of it, but if you're in good position, miss tackle, the scheme's no good. Sometimes we were in good position last year and we just didn't make tackles. So part of it's players being more talented, players being more mature. Part of it's fundamentals, part of it's scheme, and we're putting it all together. So it's a little bit better, but we're going to build on it. It's not what it can be, and it's not what it's going to be.
Kevin, as you look at quarterbacks, is the era where you needed a guy 6'3", 6'4", is that maybe is necessary now because of the spread attack, because of wide open? In other words, is a guy 6 foot, 6'1", maybe even 5'11", better able now in this type of college era?
Well, with some of the movement skills, because some tall guys don't run as well. So if you want to do some degree of, and as a quarterback, I mean, there's certain skills you need, and throwing's one, and having a big arm's one, but it's not necessarily as strong as being a guy that can process quickly, have a quick mind. He can see things, good vision, mobility. Even if you're not a ranked team, you got to avoid the rush, make awkward. I mean, Nate missed a wide open, awkward throw the other day, where he came out. And I also said, in practice, have you ran that hard in practice when the scout team was chasing you? Because you're running at a different speed, because there's a defense coming at you, and now you're running so hard, your timing's off, and you missed a chip one, but it was an awkward throw. So mobility is always a part of it. So tall guys a lot of times can't run. Most of the great quarterbacks in our game, there are very few, college and pro, at the high end, that are 6'4" and taller. A lot of good players are 6'1", 6'2", whether it be the Favres and the Breezes. And you got a couple guys that are bigger, like Luck or Peyton. But there's a lot of tremendous quarterbacks in that 6'1" and 6'2" range. You can be too tall to be a good tight end. 6'6", 6'7", it's hard to block. A lot of those great players are 6'4". Center, you can be too tall. I mean, even though you think size is a part of it, certain body types get so tall they're long. And the problem with a tall quarterback is how quick is he, and if he's tall, how long is it? Like Nate, for a taller guy, has reasonable quickness where the ball gets out quick. It's not a wind-up long, because tall people have long levers, and the longer the lever, the slower the ball comes out. So the key is quickness, and that's where those 6', 6'1", 6'2" guys are just low. And sometimes it's quick minds and quick hands, as much as quick feet, that make those guys a great player.
What's the injury update on the guys that weren't ready for week one? Do you think they could be?
Yeah, they were practicing today. So Fletcher was out there going, Wes Rogers was out there going. We're close on Pissarro at tight end because we need to get him back in the mix. And Danny's probably a week 2 away. He's probably the slowest of all. They're all coming back. Came out last game with no one to add to it, and as we practice, again, we were clean today, so hopefully we'll be clean as we move forward in the games to come.
Now that he's over at quarterback, where does Chris Covington kind of fit in that mix?
Trying to figure it out, because again, he's got a tremendous arm, but because we show up missing Summer because we're thinking maybe the defensive position, so he's missed some of that mental side. So we're really trying to cram course him. When during practice he's standing beside a coach all the time, what's the signal, call the snap count, call the play. So it's a little bit just getting him mentally, physically, live arm, a big guy, he can move a little bit, where he can do some run stuff. So we'll see in time between he and then Boudreaux and Xander where they get to. He technically, and he's coming off his the knee injury he had a year ago, he's not officially full go, where we hadn't really turned him loose yet. So I think we're about a week or so away from saying, okay, you can really take the gloves off, and because we've had to, coming off the knee, he's been allowed to practice, but it's been in certain situations. So we just got to see where we're at there.
What's your schedule the rest of this week?
I'm going recruiting right here. So I guess why I keep looking at the watch, because y'all killing me here. Right? You'll see me somebody. We're recruiting. We'll go tomorrow. Pretty good go. We'll have a very light work on Friday. and then we'll do some work with them Saturday in a light way, just to kind of get them into, you know, we use this, there's another open date, so we didn't use this as a refresher week. We use this as a kind of a preseason build-up week where we could come off a game, make some corrections. We had a lot of good mental work early in the week. Now we're doing a little bit of physical here in the mid part of the week, and we'll try to get them fresh to then get into a normal game week starting Sunday. So a good go today, not as much, I mean, it'll be a good go tomorrow, more than a normal Thursday by far. We won't do much on Friday. We won't, quote, play a game Saturday, but we're going to do enough to kind of keep them in the routine of waking up, and here it is, and then we'll cut it loose and let them watch some games Saturday afternoon. And then we're going, as coaches, we're going to recruit. We'll be recruiting a lot on Friday, and we'll be recruiting a lot at the backyard. And then also, for us, we're strategy-wise, we won't go to every kid the first week because we can only see them once, and sometimes I want to see them. So sometimes we will not go everywhere because we want to do good at home and good in the Midwest. Your juniors for next year go fast. So we'll start our recruiting locally, and then as the season moves, we'll start spreading down to the southern and outer lighting areas. So we got some recruiting that goes this week as well.